Welcome back to my podcast. This is a knitting/making podcast. Most of the time I am talking about my knitwear, what I'm knitting at the moment, my finished objects, and any plans I have for the future. Sometimes I do talk about some sewing or some other hobbies that I have on the go. Today it's going to be all knitting. I have quite a few finished objects to share with you all, some fun KAL information to share with you, and then just a couple of acquisitions too. So we'll just get started right away. So I want to tell you all about the Violeta KAL that Unit Toronto is hosting right now. I am going to be taking part of this. It starts on November 17th and ends at the end of January. So you have about 2.5 months to finish this beautiful pullover sweater. I do have a code. If any of you are interested in purchasing the pattern, you can use Karlie Violeta. I'll put it up here and in the description box below to get 50% off of the pattern. And that will run until the end of January. I am going to hopefully be buying my yarn for this pullover tonight, so I can share that yarn with you next time, or if I have it by the time of editing, I can put in a picture here. If not, I'll just show it next episode. So for this knit along, you do have to create a project on Ravelry in order to be eligible for any potential giveaways. There is a discussion thread on Ravelry for anybody joining in on the KAL, so you can discuss the pattern together, share photos, all of that good stuff, and that thread will be linked down below along with the pattern. So again, that starts on November 17th till the end of January. You can use code Karlie Violeta for 50% off the pattern, and hopefully you can join in on some of the knit along with us. I know I'm looking forward to it. It's a beautiful sweater. It's got cables and lace and cabling in the front and the back. I think I might modify mine a little bit because cabling is just a little bit finicky for me, so I might eliminate some of the cables. But other than that, I'm going to stick true to the design because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So thank you, Unit Toronto, for the code and for 50% off the pattern. And yeah, if any of you are thinking of joining the KAL, maybe let me know, and let me know what kind of colors you are deciding on knitting it on. I'm still kind of up in the air of what kind of color I want to do. I was thinking green, but I'm not sure. Every time I have something in my mind, by the time I go to the yarn store, something else catches my mind and I'll go in the complete opposite direction. Okay, so first off, we'll start with the finished objects and we'll start with what I'm wearing. So I had this as a WIP in my last video, and this is the light loop sweater. Yeah, I think it's a light loop sweater by Other Loops, and here it is. So it's just a really basic drop shoulder that is super airy, open gauge, as you can see. It's supposed to be an oversized fit. I did mine basically to pattern, except that I did I-cord bind off for the sleeves and did the sleeves just a little bit shorter because I was worried about them growing a bit too much and I didn't want to look too sloppy when it was done. So I'm really happy with the fit. I think it looks really nice. I just did regular bind off for the bottom, nothing special there, but it sits flat, and most of the time this is tucked into my jeans. This is a 1x1 rib for the neckline, and it uses a ton of short rows in the back. So what I do like about this is you can really tell which side is the front and the back, because the back is about this much higher than the front when it's laying flat or hung up or whatever. So there's no need to put a tag in it or anything like that. It's very clear as to what is the back. I used Queensland Tenderfoot, the Queensland collection in Tenderfoot with the color Dark Oak, and this was kindly gifted to me from Knitting Fever. So thank you so much, Knitting Fever. I used one skein and maybe a quarter of the second skein, and it is a really nice yarn. I believe it's like 80% merino and then 20% polyamide, and it's a really, like, I found it's a really bouncy yarn, it does go back and it goes back into its shape really nicely. One thing I found with this is it grew a lot in blocking, which I was hoping for, because after I finished it, it looked good, but I wanted a bit more width, a bit more length, pretty much everywhere, and for it to just bloom, and that's exactly what it did. It did not disappoint when it came time to blocking, and it just really transformed this. So this was a quick knit for me. I think it took just over 2 weeks, and again, it's a fingering weight yarn and it's on larger needles. I think I used 5.5 millimeter needles, something like that. And my project page is going to be linked down below. If you want some of the actual like details of it all, it'll be there. But I just really love this because it is such a quick knit and so fun, and it's not difficult. It's just like, yeah, your simple drop shoulder, but I've worn it like 10 times already. I've worn it so many days in a row, and I've just find that it's such a perfect staple piece. I'm wearing it with jeans right now. I'll put some of my finished object photos up here and some that I posted on Instagram if you're ever interested in seeing some of my finished object photos. I do post them all over there, so I'll put my Instagram down. But I just find that it's so versatile because I'm wearing them with jeans now, they're perfect. In my finished object photos, I wore them with drapey, loose kind of trouser-like pants. I think this will be perfect over a dress, over a skirt, or with a skirt, and I just love it. I already want to make so many more. I have some, what is it? It's like a cotton slash hemp slash linen, a blend, something like that, and I would love to make this too. I think it would be a really nice like drapier summer version that I would also wear throughout all the year. So this was my first time doing an other loops pattern. I thought it was great. It was really clear. I loved it. I do plan on making at least one more of these. And like I said, if you're kind of looking for something quick, easy, a good staple that you can wear any day, I recommend this. It's just a good cleansing palette project if you need something different from, and just kind of like simple. I think this is a great project. So I'm very happy with this. I don't think I would change anything from what I did. I love it, and it's been getting its wear already, and I just can't wait to kind of start styling it with other pieces too. So my next finished object is one, if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen already too, but that is my porcelain sweater. So here she is. I love this sweater so much. This is one that I've wanted to knit basically since the pattern came out. It just stole my heart. I thought it was beautiful. Like so many of you, I'm sure, have been looking at this pattern, or maybe you've made it yourself. It was so fun and addicting to knit, and that's why I finished it like so much sooner than I thought I would, because I didn't realize I loved color work that much. I think it's so fun to do, and part of this does have color work worked flat, so it is a drop shoulder, so you have to work this front panel flat as well as this back panel flat. So that means you do have to purl some of your color work, but I found that it really wasn't difficult at all. As long, like for me, I just had to practice the purling color work on my swatch first. I got all the mistakes done with on that swatch, and I was ready to go once it was time for the color work, which basically starts like pretty soon after you cast on. Well, you start with the back, so you have this to do, and I believe there's short row shaping in this. Kind of drawing a blank. Feels like a long time ago, but it wasn't. So you just have this strip and the front strip to do flat. It's not that bad at all, and it's a really easy, manageable color work. If it's your first time doing color work, you're only working with 2 colors max, and you start off really easy, just, you know, alternating colors, and you kind of gradually get into more difficult color work charts, but again, it's very manageable and it's totally fine. For me, I can only do color work if I zoom in really close to the chart and I like get that repeat going, if there is a repeat in the chart, and that's the best way for me. Otherwise, my eyes cannot focus on a damn thing. So that's also why I like to have my patterns on PDFs, because you can zoom in and you can focus and get everything else out of your sight. So I did do a contrast color for the collar, and the main color here is Queensland collection, again in the Tenderfoot, and I believe it's Old Ivory. And then the contrast is left over from my Tulip Sweater by Melody Hoffman, and this is the Juniper Moon Patagonia in the color Acorn. So I ran out of yarn of the main color. So that's why we have this contrast color here. And at first I wasn't into doing a contrast collar. Yeah, this is a collar. For contrast ribbing for the neckline. At first I wasn't on board with that in my mind, but now that I've worn it and I see it, I think I really love it. I think it worked out, and I also did a shorter neckline. The one in the pattern calls for a folded neckline. I just did a regular short neckline and I'm happy with it. Because I was running short on yarn, my sleeves used to be a lot longer, but I ripped back in order to have enough amount of yarn for each sleeve. I ripped back one that this used to be probably like this much longer, about that much longer, and I had to shorten the cuff and then add a pop of color to the cuff too. So it all worked out. I had like this much yarn left for my main color and we're fine. So I did request, was gifted this main color by Yarn Fever, and I did tell them I ran out of yarn, and they were so generous and sent me extra yarn right away. But unfortunately it was just like slightly off. It must have been different dye lot or something, and I just knew that it would have been too noticeable for my liking. So I just used what I had and it worked out, and I think it's fine. The good thing about this is that this project blocked a ton. So it grew a ton during blocking, and I tried to block it quite aggressively. So the body's perfect. It's long. It hits like top of my thigh. The sleeves, again, I've mentioned this before, I've got crazy long arms. The sleeves, I think they would fit perfectly for like an average arm length, but mine, they're a tad short. Right after blocking, they were good. They were, you know, hitting probably right here. But then, like I said before, this yarn bounces back quite a bit. So now it's probably like to here, and that's okay. I'm fine with it. It hits about the same length as where the bottom hem hits, and I still think it's cute. It looks great. And I think next time I wash it, I'll give it another block and just aggressively stretch these sleeves out, and then we'll see where we're at with that. And then if it really does bother me in the future, I can always rip back these cuffs and do a longer cuff all in this contrast color, and I think that'll be fine too. So those are just some modifications that I did in order to be able to work with what I had. And if I haven't already, I'll put pictures up of my finished object photos. Everything went really well with this, except on my second sleeve. So this is my favorite motif here, this second one, and the beautiful leaves here. I don't know what happened, and thank God it's only on the back, I was just off by a stitch or something, and so as you can see, like, that's what it's supposed to look like. And then that's what I got on the back. I didn't really notice it until I was on the next round, and I just didn't want to rip back. I knew it was on the back, and I was afraid if I ripped back that I would have screwed it up even more, like with the, I just was scared of screwing it up. So I didn't, it doesn't bother me because it's on the back, and whatever, it still looks kind of cool. This looks better, obviously, so much better, but yeah, whatever. It's my first colorwork sweater. Handmade things can have mistakes in them and still look really good. So I love this. I think it's one of my pieces that I'm like most proud of. I think it's just so cool and fun, and I'll definitely be wearing it a lot this winter. It was weird because a couple weeks back it got really cold here, and I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Western Canada. I'm really close to the mountains, so we have really unpredictable weather, and it got really cold here like a week or two before Halloween. It was like -15 and huge amounts of snow, a crazy dump of snow. And then right before Halloween it started to warm up. We get these things called Chinook winds where a warm wind comes through and it melts the snow so quickly. And lately it's been beautiful out. All the snow is gone now and it's so warm I don't even need a jacket outside, and it's almost been a bit too warm to wear this, which is fine. I've mentioned it on here before how much I hate winter and cold. So I'm very, very pleased that the snow's gone and that everything is better. But yeah, I'll probably have to wait to wear this for a little bit longer. But I'm just very pleased and proud of it. I love this main color here because it's like a perfect off-white, I think. And I think it just goes so well with it. I am thinking of doing another one. I want to do one with more yarn. So I was gifted this yarn and I didn't know what I was going to make with it, and then I thought, let's do a porcelain. And I thought I'll just have enough, and of course I ran out. But next time when I actually go out and buy yarn for it, I'll buy a bit more yarn. I want to do the main color a light beige, like lighter than this, but darker than this, like something in between these two. And I would love to do the contrast color as like a forest green. I've got a swatch here of a similar color. This is my hand-dyed yarn that I swatched up, and I'd love to do a contrast in this and possibly use mohair next time to add a bit more fluff. And then I would like to just make it a bit bigger and a bit more positive ease. There is a lot of positive ease in this actually, but I just mean I would do a lot longer sleeves, and I think I would do no contrast color for the neckline. Yeah, so I've been thinking about that color combination for a while, and I really want to do that. It's just that, you know, these projects, when you start to add that second strand, that mohair, it does add up. And that's kind of a reason why I didn't do it with this one, because I was like, I got gauged with just a single strand and I didn't want to spend any more money. But now that I know I really love the sweater and it's such a joy to knit, I think I'd be okay with spending that extra money. Okay, my last finished object, we've got a pair of socks. Here they are. So just some vanilla socks, 2x2 rib. I definitely could have done the 2x2 rib longer so it had a little more elasticity, but I hate doing the cuff. I always do them too short, but it's okay. I think it's got enough stretch and elastic in there. These are I'm making 4 pairs of socks for my sister's mother-in-law who requested them for Christmas. and I'm slowly but surely working my way through them. This is my first pair that's done. I did this with Ancient Arts yarn, Irish linen, in their sport base, I think. And then the contrast for the heel and toe is lichen and lace in the color pewter. I just did the heel flap in gusset. Really simple vanilla sock. These go by pretty fast because this is a sport weight, and yeah, it just kind of flies by. So I'm very pleased with these. I'm proud of myself for getting socks for someone else done and off my list. Not much to say. I think I had one of these done last time and showed you. It's the only difference is now they're blocked. I don't have sock blockers, but I just lay them flat like and block them how I would block anything else, and I think it's fine. They're really soft. They feel great on your feet. I find that this, both lichen and lace and Ancient Arts yarn, they just have like, this one's fingering, this one's sport, but they almost feel the exact same. And it's just really nice to work with for fingering in a sock because it's just like, it goes by a little quicker, and they're just like fuller yarns, I would say, if that makes sense. So I'm really happy I have one of these done. She lives far away, not far away, she lives like 3 hours away, but she is going to be in town next weekend, and I need to have 2 pairs done by then to gift to her because she needs those too. Because I won't see her until Christmas, and she needs those 2 to give to some people in her life before I see her in Christmas. So at Christmas. So I am working on the second pair, and it is using the same yarn, it's just reversed. So these ones aren't blocked, but I did finish one sock, and here it is. So look how cute these are. I think when I gift them to her, they'll be really cute. And same thing here, except I just did a 1x1 rib here. I do about 10 rounds because I hate doing it, and I find that 1x1, I think that's at least enough for the stretchiness. I've done that before and they've seemed to hold up. Heel flap and gusset, just the slip stitch heel. And contrast toe and cuff using Irish linen from Ancient Arts, pewter from lichen and lace. So got that one done. I have a little more than a week to finish the next one, and that's where we're at. So I can do it. I know I finished this off in maybe 3 or 4 days, and that was good. I was very pleased. My knuckles are hurting on my right hand from the sock knitting though, so I am just trying to take a day break because I was working on these yesterday and my knuckles started to get sore. So I'm just taking a break from them today and can hopefully pick up the sock knitting tomorrow. I am holding these in my handmade sock project bag. And I lined it with this. We hammered on the flowers. Got my mom's logo there. So this is my favorite project bag for socks. Okay, next WIP. Trying to think which one I should show. Let's do the oldest one, which is one I've shown on here before, but I have not shown for a long time because it's been taking a little rest. This is the Petite souffle or the mini souffle by Penrose. This is a scrappy project for me. So I had some leftover yarns that I wanted to get rid of. I've already put them in my Advent shawl, which I haven't worked on for ages, but I have shown on here before. So they've already been in the shawl and I didn't know what else to do with them, so I turned the Petite souffle into a stripy one. So last time I showed this, I was probably here, I think. and I've gotten a lot done in the last few days, and I'm actually binding off. So instead of a folded hem like the pattern calls for, I'm just doing an I-cord bind off. I'm doing size 3 to 4. My niece is going to be 2 in January, and I'm planning on giving this to her right away. I was going to wait for Christmas, but she's growing so fast, and this will be big on her, but I thought I did it a bit longer so she can wear it with tights. She'll have lots of positive ease and room in here, and I thought doing a size 3 to 4, she can get some wear out of it for hopefully more than just like 2 months. So it'll be like a baggy tunic type dress she can wear with tights when I gift it to her right away, and then as she gets older, it'll probably be something maybe still quite long on the torso that she'll still wear with tights, but it'll just fit a little tighter, and I think it'll be good. I unfortunately am running out of this yarn, and I won't have enough to do the striping on the sleeve, so I decided to just do sleeves in the main color here, which is the Cascade Yarns Anchor Bay, and it's a 50-50 cotton and superwash merino. This is it here. I love this. This is my first time using it. I just got it on sale at Yarn Twisters here in Calgary, which I'm like 5 minutes away from, so it's perfect. I just got it on sale over the summer, and I didn't really have any plans for it. I had 2 balls of those. I'm almost done the first ball, and it's gotten me a lot out of those 2 balls, so I'll have enough to do full sleeves. I think I'm going to do full sleeves and then rapid decreases at the cuff and do another I-cord bind off. I'm not sure if that's what the pattern calls for or not. I'm just, now that I got started and I split for sleeves, I haven't been looking at the pattern. And then up here I'll have to do an applied I-cord and then a little 2 long pieces of I-cord to tie at the back, because there is a little keyhole opening there. So I just really want this done because it's been on my needles for quite some time. Advent season is coming up, gift knitting, I've got these socks to do, I've got a test knit, I've got some other things I want done before Christmas rolls around and the holidays. So I really just wanted to I'm trying really hard to get a lot of things off my needles right now, as you can tell with this and my other sweater. Usually I don't have big objects like this done so close together, but I've just been feeling a lot of that motivation to get things done in preparation for Advent season. I did purchase the Advent calendar from Big Little Yarn Co. And I should not get off topic, but really quickly, it was supposed to arrive 2 days ago, and then I got a message on my tracking thing, and they're like, yeah, attempted delivery person wasn't at home. I was at home, but I didn't hear anybody knock at my door, and then also they said, left a note. So I look outside, there's no note, there's no card or anything saying we'll try again or pick it up at this post office. Could not find it anywhere, and now I'm really scared that I don't know how to get it, because as we know, if you've purchased an Advent before, they are not cheap, and yeah, I'm a bit worried about that. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. Anyway, this should be done by next time I talk to you all. Just gotta finish binding off this little bit here from here to here, and then I think I'll pick up the sleeves and then do the I-cord last, and then I'll give it to my niece. And she is, I've talked about her before on here, but she is the most knit-worthy person in the entire world. She knits with me, as in I knit in front of her and she'll grab the yarn and just do this with me, and we have inside jokes together. I know she's under 2, but we have got inside jokes for every time we knit. We'll make this face at each other and then just both burst out into laughter, but she just gets so excited every time I bring out my knitting. And she also really appreciates the fabric already, because I've gifted her knitted items before, and she'll just go and this. She understands the whole squish factor thing. So if there's anybody in this world who deserves some knitwear, it's Abby, and I can't wait to gift it to her, and I can't wait to see what she does when she wears it. And yeah, I'm just very excited for that. That's huge motivation for getting this done. Okay, we will start with my other one that you've seen before, and I actually have this in a really cute bag. This is, I mentioned before that I was going to start selling some bags, and similar to this with this type of fabric. So my mom did the hammering for me this time and hammered up a bunch of fabric that I had already treated with some mordant so that it would so that the plant dye would stick or like stay on the fabric. Anyways, so I decided to do a drawstring one. I just kind of wanted to make one up and see how it worked, see how it looked. And here's our little sample. It's a drawstring. I sewed on the label. I've got some leftover macrame cord in this beautiful dusty pink, and it's just really pretty, I think. And it's got a box bottom so it can stand up. It's also lined with this fabric that I naturally dyed. It's ever so slightly pigmented with some like beets. So it's just like beigey pink. As you can see, it's just a little bit different than the white here. So yeah, I'm very pleased with this. It's my favorite bag. I love it so, so much. I just purchased my own sewing machine because I've been borrowing my mom's for a year and it's time to give it back. So I purchased my own sewing machine finally. I've got it in a box down there. I'm getting a desk that was my sister's that she was going to sell, and I'm putting it back over there. I'm at a desk right now, but laptop and screens and monitors are all here, and I've been sewing here, but it works, but it's just really crammed. And I was thinking, you know what, I have the space. It would be so nice to have a table specifically for sewing. So I've been cleaning up this craft area, and it's basically all clear now. And I'm going to be doing all my sewing over there. I'm going to get some nice artwork or put my photography up there on the back. Anyway, all that to say is that I will hopefully be making some more of these once I get that desk and everything set up there, and just kind of some more space, because it was getting a little overwhelming with everything here. Okay, the next one is one I've shared before, and this is the weekend hat by Petite Knit. I've done maybe 2 inches since I saw you last, but I still want to share it because it is a marled fabric and it's starting to look really cool. So these are my hand dyed that I dyed for my partner. This is acacia, like Kutch, and then sequoia redwood trees. So I'm marling them together because he's so passionate about trees and loves them, and I haven't made him a hat yet, so I wanted to marl them together, and here it is so far. So I'm just starting. If you've ever done the weekend hat or are familiar with it, it's a double folded brim. So I am just at the part here where you do some double knitting. You do 2 little sections of double knitting. Like you have this section here, just 1 by 1 rib, some double knitting, another thing of 1 by 1 rib, double knitting, and then the rest of the double knitting, and then decreases for the crown. And you put in that double knitting in order for it to fold nicely, for the brim to fold nicely, and it'll hold its shape and kind of have memory for where the folds are supposed to be. So I'm just reaching that point. And this is pretty low priority. It's not like, if it's not done by Christmas, that's fine. I would love for it to be done by Christmas, but it's not a surprise. He's seen it, he helped me. I made him approve the colors because I didn't want to put all this time and effort in if he didn't like it. But it's just really fun to work on every now and then if I need a break, because I think the marling is really fun. I love a low contrast marl, and I think it looks really pretty. So I will keep you all up to date on that. Again, I'm not going to share too much about it because there's not much to update you all on. But next time I show it, it'll probably be like when it's done or almost done, because there's, again, straight 1x1 hat. You don't need to see every time I do an inch or so. Okay. This next one here is a test knit for Andrea Gone Knits, and it is the front porch pullover. And this is a drop shoulder knit. I am doing the first size, and this is kind of an acquisition also because I showed you this yarn last time. I got this beautiful mohair when I was in Victoria, and then I got into this test knit, and it called to be held double with like a fingering and a mohair. So then I bought this from Drops UK, or the wool warehouse in UK. And I'm pairing them together, and it's turning into this really pretty fabric. So, excuse me, these are slightly different, as you can see. So I'm getting just the slightest marling, which you can't really see in the light here. There we go, maybe you can see it here when it's the slightest marl effect, which I think is really lovely. There's not a whole lot to say about this. I'm just working on the back panel. I'm not as far ahead as everyone else, but I've got till January. So I'm just working the back panel here. Pretty soon I will be picking up stitches up here for the front shoulder, and then working the front, and then after that I'll be able to join in the round. Shortly after joining in the round, I think I'll do a few rows, and then I really want to just tackle the sleeves because I hate sleeves. So I would love to get those done, and then I can just work on the body after that. I love working on the body. Sleeves are hard. So yeah, not a whole lot to share, but just loving this fabric, and I can't wait to have this staple piece. It's just a really simple drop shoulder. I'm doing the cropped version, but I don't want it too cropped. I want it so I can at least like tuck it into my high-waisted jeans, and I want to be able to like reach up without having any of my waist or side showing. So it's really soft, it's not itchy at all. This is great. This is great. I don't have the rest of them with me, but I'll just put up what type of yarn this is from Drops. Okay, I have one last thing to share, and then, no, two things to share, and then that'll be it. So my last video, I did a pattern roundup for color work, and one of them was the Pokharahenser by Linka Neumann, and I'll put a picture up of what it looks like. And I said in my video that I just imagine this being a perfect kind of like outdoor hoodie for me to wear in front of the fire and on those really gorgeous blue sky winter days that we get so often here. So I thought this would keep me really warm, and I started it. I bought the yarn. So I got Sandnes Garn, Petite Garn. And this is like, what is this? It's 100% Norwegian wool. I'm knitting this on 4.5mm needles for the ribbing, and then I think it goes to 5 or 6mm for the body. This is my main color here, so the whole body is going to be this. This is going to be the flower petals. Sorry, yeah. And this is 933. Oh, it's hard to tell. It's out. Let me just put it up here. This is going to be the center of the flower and the color work. It's 3511. And then this will be, there's like little dots and other tiny flowers around, and it'll be in this darker color, this darker pink, and it's 4023. So all these together, I thought were cute. And I just wanted something really neutral and like natural for the main color, and I think this is the perfect light beige that I've like, the most perfect light beige ever. This is not scratchy, it feels really good, and I can already tell that it's going to be so warm, so I'm very much looking forward to having it. I've only worked like very little on this, so I just have the bottom ribbing. It is a bottom up construction. Yeah, I've just worked the bottom ribbing, but it's kind of low priority. I have that tuss knit and the socks that are taking up my time, and then my niece's shirt. So this is just kind of pick up when I feel like it. I just wanted to at least get it casted on and have the yarn for it, because as I've said before that I hate casting on. I love the excitement of a new project, but actual casting on is not fun to me. So I have 2 inches of ribbing total to do. I think I'm at like 1.25 inches, maybe 1.5 inches. So after that, then it's just, I do a little bit of increasing, I switch to larger needles, and then I do a little bit of stockinette before I hit the fun colorwork section, which I'm very much looking forward to. And I think this is going to be quite a quick knit, being that it's such bulky, thick yarn. So that's my last work in progress / acquisition because of this new yarn. And I do have one last thing to share with you. I was gifted a pattern the other day by Vergara. She kindly gifted me the Cruz Sweater. So she is the designer, and she is a new to me designer. And when I checked out her patterns, I was just so blown away with them. If you haven't seen her patterns before, I definitely suggest go checking them out on Ravelry. I'll put a picture of the sweater the sweater pattern that she gifted me up here, and it is linked down below. Again, this is the Cruz Sweater, and it is a drop shoulder sweater that is constructed bottom up in the round and then flat for the front and back pieces, and then you pick up stitches for the sleeves. But what is so amazing and unique about her patterns is that she has like beadwork in it, and it is beadwork that is done along the way, and it is done with a crochet hook. So that is not the type of thing that I'm familiar with doing, but once I'm done all of these, all of my knits, I really want to cast on this Cruz Sweater and play with that, because what a special thing to have on your own knitwear is some beadwork. And I do have random beads from years ago that I've just been storing here in my desk, and I saw them the other day and I clicked. I was like, oh my god, I can use that for the Cruz Sweater. So she has a lot of beautiful designs with some really intricate, beautiful beadwork on there, and I highly recommend checking them out. So thank you so much for that pattern, and I can't wait to check it out in a little bit when I have cleared some things off my needles. So I think we covered it all today, I'm hoping. I was worried that I would forget some stuff, but I'm pretty sure we covered it all. Thanks again so much if you stuck around this long, and again, thank you for all the comments on my last couple of videos. If you commented or liked or subscribed, that means so much to me. It makes my day reading those comments. I just kind of love the connection and the community that us makers and knitters have. It's really a fun way to connect with all of you and each other. So I appreciate that so much. Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you all hopefully in the next couple weeks. Bye.